Welcome back, Hopeful Tribe. We're here to talk about 3 questions about parenting.
Yes, we are.
Ready?
That's indeed. I am ready. I'm ready. Would you like to go first?
I can go first. Let me start out by sharing this chart about the 4 main parenting styles. There's many other parenting styles within these, but the 4 main parenting styles are permissive, authoritative, neglectful, and authoritarian. And because in our 3 questions we refer to these, I thought it would be a good idea to share that up front.
Which of the 4 main parenting styles were you raised with?
Oh, definitely authoritarian. Yep. My mom told us when she said jump, we were supposed to say how high. And that was all we were supposed to say.
If different, which of these styles did you use with your children, or you taught a little bit too with or students?
Yeah. I definitely went more for the authoritative style of parenting. I thought it was really important that my kids knew that, they could make their own decisions, that I respected their autonomy and um, they felt free to live their own lives.
Yeah, that's awesome. What's the most challenging part of that style that you chose?
Oh, well, let me tell you. I used to say the one bad thing about not raising your kids in fear is that they're not scared of you,
Okay.
right? So you actually have to talk a lot more and be a lot more creative about how you
Guide
interest
them,
them
right?
in doing the things that would be good for them,
Yeah,
you know.
that you believe would be good for them. Like, yeah, guidance. It can't just be do it. It has to be, yeah, in a way that they feel like they have some agency, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Which of the 4 main parenting styles were you raised with?
Well, I was raised in an authoritarian home too. When you say that your mom said, when I jump, you say how high. My mom didn't want you to say how high because she wanted you to obey her quickly, right? So if you're asking how high, you're asking questions, right? She just wanted you to do it right away. So yeah, definitely an authoritarian household. It was, there were, it was punitive. There were, yeah, you just basically had to do what you were told, and or it was a punitive home.
Did you feel like you had any room to express yourself in that kind of parenting?
You know, it's interesting because human beings have the need to express themselves. So even though I didn't feel like necessarily there was permission given for me to express myself, I expressed myself,
Hmm.
and even at consequences sometimes. And then actually, it's sort of a reciprocal relationship. The parent is teaching the child while the child is while the child is learning from the parent, and also the parent is learning from the child while the child is just growing up. So I feel like the fact that I pushed against not being able to have my own voice allowed um, my mom to sort of be more open about sort of expecting and accepting that I would have my own voice in areas.
If different, which of these styles did you use with your children or students?
Well, as you well know, I don't have any biological children, but I did teach and for like 25 years. So with my students, it's super interesting because we are a product of how we were raised. When I first started teaching, I had the ideal of wanting it to perhaps be authoritative. And I think sometimes I slipped between authoritative and permissive, where the kids, I kind of was accommodating what they wanted a little bit too much, so it was permissive. And I would slip back and forth into authoritarian as well. I would want them to have their own agency, but also I'd want them to do what I said, kind of like right away, without a lot of conversation and a lot of like kind of circular. We're not going to get the thing that I was asking them done. So I really had to learn what was best. But as I said, the same way that just my being a child and reacting to the way that my parents were raising me. My parents learned from that. I learned from my students. Some things aren't going to work if you just kind of don't give them any room to express their views. That's not going to work. So yeah, it evolved and became, in the end, I would say, authoritative. My students respected me, and I always said my focus was on just sort of helping them be the best they could be, but also it was never focused on like, oh, my job is just to make you like me or us to be friends. I just tried to, have that relationship with them, but that was just by like caring for them and talking with them. I'd always also say to them, if you disagree with me, I'd give them full license to say. I would give them advice to maybe say it outside the moment when neither one of us were upset about the situation. Just sort of take a minute later to talk about something. Always gave them, like, first day of class, I remember giving him that advice and that permission. So yeah, and in the end product was an authoritative style.
And what's the most challenging part of the authoritative style for you?
I would agree with what you said. You have to be creative, right? You can't just do the because I said so or any of this, this is non-negotiable or any of that. You have to really be creative. You have to be thoughtful. You can't just throw out these one line directives. You have to be willing to communicate, be willing to talk about things. You have to be open. You have to be open actually to being wrong and allowing like someone who's younger than you point that out and take that in. And you have to be humble, really, because sometimes kids will call you out on things and they're dead right. And it's very hard to kind of just be vulnerable and admit those things. So yeah, it was harder in so many ways, but worth it because the relationship, it paid off in dividends with the relationships. And the students were much more, they were happy. It was a happier situation than it would have been had it been an authoritarian thing where, hey, you're going to the office every time, you don't do what I say. Actually, I hardly ever sent any students to the office. I'm like super proud of that. I mean,
That's so cool.
It was super rare. It was only if it was like some school rule that everyone had sort of witnessed and it had to go to the office, like a fight on the playground or something that really escalated. But I had one great teacher when I was in the teacher credential program who said, if you've sent your student to the office, shout out to Randy. Hey, Randy. If you send her, she said something like, if you send your student to the office, you failed. And because it doesn't help to build that relationship. And also you're giving over your authority to someone else. Like, hey, I can't do anything with this situation in this classroom. I'm going to send you to someone else for us to fix it instead of having a conversation with the kid and fixing it. So yeah, I mean, that's basically kind of it in a nutshell.
Thank you so much for answering these 3 questions.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And I hope you are thinking about the way that you're parenting or teaching or however you're relating to your younger humans. I don't know what to call it.
The young people in your lives.
Yeah, because I think even if you just think about it a little bit, it's going to improve those relationships.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I'd agree with that. We hope you feel loved and hopeful until we see you again.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Hopeful Tribe.
Aw, she kissed my forehead.